Well, we're in the middle of summer. But anyway, welcome to another episode of Tuffy Talk, our weekly live stream. And it's summer, my friend. We are in the dog days of
Yep.
summer. I think we have, I don't even know what we're at, about 40 days, I think now from the opening game. I can pull up on my phone here in just a second, but it's summer, man. How you doing,
It's
Michael?
close. Good. It's close and so far at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's summer, man. Anyway, first off, I think Macon will be jumping on here with us a little bit. Both our fearless leader Leighton and Ken's are going through some personal stuff today, so they won't be able to make it on. And so we're thinking about both of you guys. But you have Michael and I, and like I said, hopefully Macon. And so this is just kind of just a summer show. We're gonna keep it pretty low key. We're not gonna have any of the fancy grind my gears. Maybe we'll come up with something if we come up with someone. I got the graphic ready to roll. But yeah, we'll talk a little baseball, probably a lot of baseball since we got the Major League Draft going on, and I've been reaching out to some folks for some information on how it works, and I got kind of smart, even though I'm just going to be regurgitating that information. So don't think that I'm any kind of expert on it. I did know some of it, but I think it is fascinating.
That's how you learn. You become an expert.
Yeah, I got a kind of a cool Alex Sosa story. Yeah, we'll start with that. How about Alex Sosa? Did you see the photo with him and Carlos Rodon on it?
Yeah, that was cool.
Photo? Yeah, so I was talking to his dad Pete, and I said, man, that photo was I sent him a fire emoji, and you got an NC State pitcher and an NC State catcher, and I thought, man, that's a really cool photo op, kind of like past and present, and then we maybe just if we had like a draft, or a recruit, that would have been a cool, past, present, and future.
Yeah.
But so I talked to Alex's dad, like I said, and I said, man, like how did that happen? And Alex went up to a Major League Baseball reporter that was, kind of there, and he was like, hey, can you go in the dugout and tell Carlos that, I'm Alex Sosa and I'm a catcher at NC State? And so Carlos comes out and they start talking, and he was like, man, you should have just told the reporter that you're Alex Sosa. And he goes, wait, you know who I am? He goes, yeah, man, you go to State. And I'm kind of paraphrasing the story a little bit, but because yeah, man, you should have led with that. Yeah, so it's just
that's gotta be pretty cool. Yeah.
To
be like, wow.
Yeah, because I think because I mean I think we're all, especially if you're a baseball athlete, I think we're all fanboys first, because these are some of the guys that you watched growing up, especially for Alex. You watched Carlos probably pitch. Carlos is a Florida guy, just like Alex. So there and then there's the Cuban ties a little bit there too. So you have a lot of similarities, and just kind of a really cool thing. And they actually FaceTime Avent from the field, and that's just a really cool moment for all three of them.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool. I mean, Sosa missed a bunch of the season too, so it's not like he was, kind of a. Obviously, to everybody who follows NC State baseball closely, they know his name. But for a current MLB player who's in the middle of his season, to know him, that's got to be a pretty cool feeling. Was that down here in Tampa?
I think it was in Tampa. Yeah, I didn't ask that, but just knowing how that field looks and the stands look and everything, and I know the Rays.
The lights, you can tell it's an indoor stadium.
Yeah. And the Rays and Yankees just played a series last week, so I just assumed that because of all of those. Yeah. Look, if it smells like a duck, quacks like a duck, swims like a duck, it's probably a rabbit. So, but so here's a really cool little Pac-9 story there. I love those kind of stories. I love to just have some of these discussions with some of the baseball family and just learning literally some of the inside baseball that goes on with it. But let's talk a little bit about the draft. There's some storylines there, especially with the Pac-9, whether it was a current Pac-9 player or a transfer that transferred out. We won't name those names, but if you follow MLB draft, now we'll talk about it. But first and foremost, you had Jacob COZART going number 48 to the Cleveland Guardians. What an interesting. stat line. If you follow NC State baseball, you know LaJames Groover, Gino Groover went 48 last year to the Arizona Diamondbacks. So
Yeah.
interesting MLB fact. I don't think that's probably ever happened. I don't know. Maybe in consecutive years they had someone at the same slot number, but I figure the odds would be higher than not.
Yeah, especially like second round, like maybe some of the traditional powerhouse baseball schools, if they get the good players one after another, you could have them top 10. But yeah, kind of second round, kind of fringe guys. So no, that's cool. I thought, and I saw Win Scott's tweet also saying he's roommates with the 48th pick in the MLB draft for 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
or 2 years in a row.
2 years. Yeah. Him and PJ Labriola
Yeah.
did transfer. So I know Win is in the portal right now and working all that, but he's a fan favorite of mine and my son. So wherever he goes, we'll be happy to support him. Kind of my thing is you chose us first for a reason. So if you end up going somewhere else, that's fine. Macon, hey man, we're kind of wearing the same shirt today, buddy. Look, I got the red version. That's cool.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
So and then we got the red hat, 2 black hats. So cool.
Yeah.
Macon, how are you doing, man?
Uniform combos on the new NCAA 24 game, right?
Yeah. So we were gonna talk a little bit about that. Michael is a I don't know, Michael. I don't game. So what is the EA pass holder or something like that? So you got a peek today at it.
Yeah, I bought the early edition. You can buy the regular release, which is Friday, or the
Friday. Wow, so a whole
pre-release,
week,
which was today. Yeah.
I'm not even a video gamer, and I've even kind of thought that would be kind of fun to play. So
I'm not either.
A gamer?
I'm not. I'm like I.
So he went out and bought a PS5 just to buy the game.
Xbox.
Did you really go out and buy an Xbox just to play the game?
Well, I had the older version of the Xbox, but of course they only make it available on the newer version, so you have to buy the newer one.
Wow, way to go, man!
That sounds just like Apple.
I found a good deal. On it, so
that's cool. It's worth it. Thought about it, but that would be fun. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Like little thing like that, it kind of helps. What's the word? Just keep away the feelings of like the hunger you have for football. It's like it kind of it helps ease it in a little bit. Okay, help me moderate this need a little bit. So
yeah, we were kind of scratching that itch, right?
Yeah, it's good, man. I'm excited about it. I know this thing really, to me, nothing really fancy, but I thought it just looks fun. It's like a fun game. So
yeah,
kind of cool. Actually, I've seen some people like seeing the new offense. And I saw like some clips. I don't know if it was Pack Access or whoever it was. I think they need to change their name or something, but they had to play like a deep shot. They had McCall throw a deep shot to Noah Rogers, and I was like, "Look, that's kind of cool." Saying number 2 or number 12, whatever McCall is.
I think McCall is 12.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool saying, okay, that's kind of like a preview of 12 throwing to 5 or 12 throwing to 10 KC. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. How cool is? Go ahead, Michael.
They did it. I played a little bit like the first half of the game earlier before we got on.
How did the Carter Philly look?
It's pretty good. Like they pretty much nailed it
for a video game. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. And the offense for me. Offense was easier than defense. Like. That's getting into the weeds a little bit, but you really got to like be in good position to make a tackle. You can't just like dive at somebody's legs all the time.
Yeah, remember
you do in the old game. Yeah,
remember like if you ever played Tecmo Bowl, like I love the old Nintendo. I'll be honest with you, I there's too many buttons on the damn controller for me, like spins and flip, and I'm just like, look, give me an A and a B, give me an A and B directional pad. Like I'm just old school like that. Even playing my Switch and playing like Donkey Kong, it's like, oh gosh, what is the flip and the roll?
So many things,
my brain can't process all of that, but I just love being able to back in the old day, just be able to die for the guy and he just fell down and just went to the next play.
Yeah, you can't do that now. They make it a little more realistic.
I was just gonna, of course. I was just gonna say, like, how cool would it be? Because we all as kids created our own player, right? But it wasn't in the game. Can you imagine a Grayson McCall or any of the guys that bought into the team, or that opted into the game? Like you can literally play yourself, and I think that's just such a cool concept.
I saw somebody did. There's a player somebody used again, and it was somebody was playing Shadur Sanders, and they had Colorado, and I guess that's somebody else, and they had his winning play was Shadur Sanders scoring against the guy
against him actually playing.
I thought it'd be kind of funny, but yeah, it would be pretty nostalgic, pretty surreal. I think feeling for a lot of these college kids. In some ways, you've made it right. In some ways, because you're in a college video game now. So
yeah. And then did anyone see the tweet of that guy from the UAB band that was in both games? Did anyone see that tweet?
The UAB.
No. Yeah, he was in 14 and 24.
Yeah, so his image is in the game. Like it was like a real video. You know how they montage the videos into the game? Yeah. So they used the same image from 11 and 14, and the guy's like 35 years old now. And he was like, "Hey, where's my cut? Yeah, where's my name?"
Yeah, $600. I think every player that opted in got $600.
Yeah, I think so.
I said, side note: has anybody seen Greg in the game? Because that's how you know it's authentic if it's in the game.
That would be pretty legit. That would be pretty legit. That's what EA should have done was like get everyone's like number one fan and put them in the game. Right?
Super fan.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, that's EA Sports college. I think it's just not college football 25, right, or something like. I don't think it's
it's not.
It's not officially licensed. Yeah,
EA Sports.
That is a cool intro. Anyway, let's get back to baseball. Thanks, Macon, for derailing that conversation. But he's like doesn't even care.
I'm listening to you.
He's looking up some great facts for us.
I'm just not even paying attention. I'm just ignoring you all of this.
So that's fair. That's fair. So we were talking college baseball. We talked Jacob Cozart. I'll get my words right. Number 48 draft pick to the Cleveland Guardians. I think that's just
third or fourth catcher off the board, I think.
So I was traveling and I kind of just watched it from afar. Which makes sense.
First of the second round. I think there were 3 in the first round, and he was the first catcher in the second round.
Yeah, and you see, like the Tampa Bay Rays picked a guy that was slotted 187 in like the 40th pick or something like that. So it's not like baseball, or excuse me, not like football, where they're much closely aligned to their draft spot / their rating or ranking. Baseball takes a little bit more flyers, if you will, on guys for developmental purpose. Obviously, your first round is a little bit more cookie cutter. Those things are pretty straightforward, but NHL and baseball, they draft very similarly. Taking, they know, because baseball and hockey, those are developmental leagues. You don't see guys making the jump like you do for football, obviously, because there's only one league. And essentially basketball, there's only one league for, they have the G League, but if you're a first round pick, you're going to be on the roster. But first round picks normally in baseball don't go right to the majors. It's probably only happened in the modern era, obviously, of the draft. It's probably happened 25, 30 times. It's just doesn't happen. They go get a little bit of work in the minors and then work their way to the majors.
And so Kozar was the third catcher taken off the board. There was the catcher from Sam Houston, and there was a catcher
South Carolina,
Stanford.
Okay, so interesting. I thought the South Carolina catcher would be taken.
I'll make sure I got that right, but I'm just kind of looking at.
Look for Cole Macia, because I would have thought maybe.
No, he was definitely after Cozart. I think he
interesting.
Walker Yannick is Sam Houston went to the 28th pick in the first round to the Astros. Malcolm Moore went to the Rangers in the last pick of the first round, and then Cozart. So he was the second. I guess he was the third catcher. Yep. So
gotcha. Yeah, and then
Ford got 3 players drafted in the 10th.
Top 10 picks.
3 players drafted in the top 10. That is crazy.
Yeah. Yep. That's how good that team was. I mean,
did we sweep them? We swept them.
Yeah,
we swept them.
That's what somebody said, and that's 3 more players in the top 10 than wins they had against NC State.
Yeah, Burns the number 2 pick.
That's a sick burn, literally.
The Reds. I'm trying to look here. Burns to the Reds. Kurtz to the A's. Yeah. Seaver King.
Seaver King went to the Nats. Yeah, the Nats fans were losing their minds over that pick. Just living.
That was a little bit of he kind of went a little higher, I think.
A little bit, and that's the point. People were like, he was only 13 all ACC, and this is what we took. And I'm like, well, you do know the ACC sent 4 teams to the College World Series. Like, it's not a scrub league by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, again, and here's my thing about like a lot of fans, especially MLB fans, aren't necessarily college baseball fans, so they only look at the the generic stats. They don't really get into the analytics of it. And I can say until about 5 or 6 years ago, I was that guy. But, having seen a lot of these guys, like the Vance Honeycutts that went to the Orioles, and you see these guys up close and you're like, yeah, these are legit ball players. They're not just,
Yeah.
Anyway,
and
getting back. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's moving more like the top draft picks are all college guys.
Yeah, well, yeah, because here's a couple things because of that. One, they've shortened the MLB draft by I think 7 or 8 rounds since COVID happened.
50 rounds or something.
Yeah, I think there was like 28, 30 rounds. I think now there's just 20. Someone can fact check me on that, but I believe that's the case. So getting back to the NC State portion of that, you had Tommy Tanks get drafted. I don't know where he went.
He was first pick of the second round to the Athletics as well, maybe.
Yeah, which is crazy to think, right? I mean, someone of that caliber goes in the second round, but
it's all his defense.
Yeah,
he was just like an average defender. He'd probably be a top 10 pick as well. But.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, he can hit the ball, so we'll see how that works. And then Peyton Green ended up going to the Miami Marlins, a former NC State Pac-9 player. And then back to State, you had Eli Serrano. I think he went.
Yeah.
I know he went to the Mets. Was it like 115, 118?
Yeah, 4th round as well somewhere.
Yeah, I know it was the Mets. I can pull that up real quick.
And yeah, he probably went that high just based on his postseason.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts about
draft stock a lot?
So what are your thoughts about
hold on, I got one more too I want to announce, and then we can break it all down. And then Devin Fitzgerald, a Pac-9 prospect, went in the 5th round to the Rangers. And I'd like to break him down a little bit, but go ahead and make it, and we'll swing back around.
I was going to say Fitzgerald was what I was going to get at. That was what I was going to get at. So you can
cool.
Go, Greg.
Yeah. No, good. I want to get your analysis, and then
well, I just thought it was interesting because he is a 5th round selection, and this is a rookie guy. So I don't know if that's a fringe spot for any player. I think if you're going 5th round, it is a fringe. Okay,
it is, and I can break that down if you're curious.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so literally some inside baseball, just kind of talking to some Pac-9 players, parents that have kind of went through the process, and I don't want to necessarily name names, even though I have permission to, but so you start to see the fringe guys, like you said, whether they're college or pro guys, start going in the 5th round because the dollar values change. So for MLB and like all this sports now, you have slotted pay scales. Now that's the average. Now you can go over or under, but then you're limited on the number of times you can do that based on how the draft works. So like, for instance, Jacob Cozart with the 48th pick is going to get around $2 million, give or take, a couple $100,000 potentially in either direction.
And if you overpay for one guy, you're probably going to underpay another guy.
Correct. And then, and so the slot, I don't have the exact number. I think it's 535,000 is what Fitzgerald is at with the Rangers. Yeah. So, give or take, 100 or so thousand. But here's what happens. And before the draft even happens, is for these guys, the college prospects, and then like your underclassmen for baseball will give a number, and their agent will have that magic number, right? And while teams are on the clock, they'll call up, hey, like, what's your guy's number? And they'll be like 500,000. We'll just use that number. And if it's too rich for the drafting team, then they'll just go on to the next guy and then kind of work that out. So a lot of times, from what I was told, if you get picked in that area, you're probably going to sign with that team because they've met your number. That's not always the case, but the majority of the case, that is what is going on. So that number is right there, or that they think that they're close enough, right? So maybe you're asking for 650 and you get offered 500, and then they kind of let the whole thing play out because again, you have the overvalue, undervalue. Because that number actually breaks out at the very end once you actually sign them, because you don't have, they're not signed to that contract, so you don't have the overages and unders until the very end. And then you have guys that will get drafted like in the 19th, 20th round. It's called, especially high school kids. There'll be what they call insurance policies, where maybe that 5th round kid that you thought you were going to get that falls through, and because you didn't, maybe that 20th round kid was asking for 750. And you thought that was a little rich, but you're not able to sign your 5th round pick. Now you can take that money and apply it to that kid. So now you can sign that kid. So it's really interesting how it works out. And again, it's all about dollars and meeting figures. So hopefully that, 1 minute breakdown kind of explains it just a little bit better.
Yeah. And I think I was reading into it too, because it like you said, it's different than kind of the NFL draft. And I think it's like top, if you go in the first 10 rounds, you're like 99% of the time have already met with that team. What you've agreed on the number, so you're probably going to sign. I think it's very rare for somebody drafted in the first 10 rounds to not sign. 10 through 20, that's where it can go either way, but first 10 rounds is almost a guarantee you're going to sign with the team.
Yeah, and maybe and sometimes things do fall apart, right? Maybe you go do your physical and it doesn't work out, and the team kind of gets a little
the Kumar Rocker, right? He was a top 5 pick and didn't sign because of his medicals.
Yeah, because then they didn't offer him the money he wanted.
Yeah.
So there are obviously exceptions to the rule, but to your point, Michael, so I would be surprised if Fitzgerald came. But it's possible. I mean, they have until August 1st, so we'll know in a couple of weeks. That's the thing. Like, it's a quick turnaround to sign. It's not like, you have up until training camp or spring training.
Yeah. So it will now. Was there there's another player that we were watching to see where he would go?
Yeah. So a couple guys that didn't get drafted in the first 10 rounds: Tom Fritton, Brandon Butterworth, and
Thompson.
Ty Head, incoming freshman. Oh yeah, and Thompson.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead and say your name again, Michael. Go ahead and give that last name that you gave, because that's an important one too.
Ty Head, incoming freshman.
Yeah, that was the one that I thought about. That I was curious about, because I knew he's a guy no one's ever seen yet. So if he's getting drafted potentially right around that range, you would think, okay, comparable talent to guys like Butterworth and Fritton. So that's really good. And if you're getting him going, that's really good.
Yeah, and we haven't seen any of our other guys, the PJs, the Sams, the Garrett Pennington, Alex Makarevich. So hopefully we'll hear those guys' name pretty soon. Well, I don't know. I don't know. What's that?
I think it's tomorrow. Well, the
last 10 rounds. Yeah. So hopefully we hear hear all of their names, and they can get going with their pro careers. But I think we'll wrap that on baseball. I think that's a pretty good, nice little breakdown of the draft, and that'll we'll have officially wrapped baseball tomorrow after the end of the draft, and we'll probably have a little recap on all that stuff on the web. And but all right, so we've successfully talked EA football. We've talked baseball. It is the dog days of summer. We do have one potential,
real football.
Yeah. So we have one potential commit this week, I believe, that we'll be announcing on Thursday. Isaac Souls. He dropped his top 3 the other day with South Carolina, Kentucky, and State offensive lineman 3-star. Yep. Real big kid. Has made a couple of visits to State. So I think he's from Kentucky, I believe. I think it's like the Louisville metro area. So you would think that, obviously that's why Kentucky's in the running, and then of course you have the other SEC school, and then us. But Yeah, I think that would be a great get for Coach 2J. I think that's probably the last one on his wish list that he's been, going hard after. But yeah, give me you guys' thoughts on that or anyone else.
The name that's been around for a while is one of State's top targets. Macon, you probably know. Do you know what position they like him at?
At Souls, I mean, I think it's center. They like him at center. It's my understanding, and yeah, I think that they really covet him right now with that mindset of what he could play there. So he's a really good offensive line prospect. So
that would be a big get. Who did you say? Kentucky and South Carolina?
Yeah, Kentucky and South Carolina.
Sounds like it might be NC State versus Kentucky because he's.
I think so too. Yeah, I would agree with that.
It's interesting because you see a lot of guys on social media. I saw Colby Cronk, I saw Will Wilson, I saw Kentrell Reinhardt being like trying to still recruit him, which tells me sounds like he might be kind of borderline on it. So
and I apologize. I see his mom and I think I follow his mom. Gibbs, is that the player's last name too? He's an offensive lineman. And maybe he has a different last name.
Gibbs for
Michael Gibbs.
Michael
Gibbs, right? Yeah,
he's committed already.
Yeah. So they know each other. And so by somehow, because I see his mom tweeting at school, so I think even we got moms trying to recruit and pitch and get guys to play with each other. So I think that's a really cool. And I apologize, I don't remember his mom's first name, but I've enjoyed seeing some of her tweets. Trying to get him to come to State.
It's supposed to be a big addition. It's the big wave of commitments. I think really spoiled State fans a few weeks ago. There's not a whole lot left on the board right now they're targeting after because I think now the number is how many commits do they have?
We're at 15 right now, I think.
15.
Yeah, I was going to say at least 10.
It can't be that many more. So I say it can be, but they're not going to take that many more. So
no, State's been keeping it around 15 to 20, somewhere in that number, because obviously you want to leave some room for transfers.
Right. But I think you're talking about guys like Isaac Souls being one of them. And then you can kind of shoot a little bit because I know they really like Jonte Gilbert, the cornerback, who was previously committed to Ohio State. I know they really like Jordan Young, the safety, who's kind of been visiting a lot of the big name schools. Things like that. They've got this receiver. I think some sites have as a 4-star, Shamarius Peterkin. But see, if you have limited numbers and you've already got most of your class in, you can spend the rest of the summer, fall really focusing on those guys. And so I like that strategy.
Yeah. Go hard after your top board and then just work the rest of them as you can. And they're still a priority, don't get me wrong, but you have to prioritize your priority because there's only so many guys that, you can one take and two that you can just prioritize, as far as like your staff can put all their focus in. It's a lot to manage. Yeah. Especially during the football season, right? When you're still you're playing games, you're practicing, you're game planning, you're coaching, and then you still have to try to recruit too. It becomes a very tedious process. But
I will say, even a couple of weeks, there's another guy in the next class that's pretty big nationally that's committing too, and I would say pretty big. He's literally number 1 overall. So in a couple of weeks, Faison Brandon is committing a quarterback from Greensboro, the Whirlies.
Talked about him a lot.
Yeah, we talked about him last week.
We really talked about him a lot. I mean, he's a guy who's getting offers from everywhere. He had State. We did talk about him a little bit a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
When he put State in his top 4.
That's right. Yeah.
But it was like LSU, Alabama, Tennessee, and
Tennessee.
Yeah.
It was 3 versus 1 as far as SEC versus ACC.
Yeah. So I wouldn't expect him to pick State if I'm a State fan. But you never know. I just don't think that is going to happen. It sounds like it is legitimately like he really likes State. But I imagine money's going to make a difference here. So we'll see what happens. But that's another guy. I think I'm just kind of looking through this. We have a calendar on our end. We keep track of all these guys, and I don't see another commitment scheduled at this point. Actually, I got Shamarius Peterkin in mid-August, but beyond that, I don't know. So it could be. I mean, maybe we get Souls, but even if we do, it could be 2 weeks to a month before we hear anything else on another prospects. So it's just kind of going real slow. And especially when they start getting closer to regular, fall camp.
Focused on the season and the players, the recruits. They've got their senior season starting in August as well. So
yeah, and I wonder too. I wonder if we're the allure and the glamour of a praise on Brandon. People may be just glazing over just how good Will Wilson could be, because it seems like just more and more the perception of this guy from folks who really watch football and just are being around this guy, posting clips on social media. They're like, it's becoming the vibe I'm getting. It's becoming more this thing of like, oh, he could be something maybe. I guess they're like, no, this guy is maybe like underrated. Like I don't know if he's really that crazy. So he's really good. I really like Will Wilson, but I think the praise on Brandon thing maybe, and then at Cedric Bailey, maybe people overlooking what Will Wilson could be for this class. So that's a little side note.
Yeah. Especially since he committed, a year ago, over a year ago now. So it's like, which Brandon would be too, but he being the number one recruit in the class is obviously going to bring more attention.
Yeah, I think there's more of a push for someone like that to commit, right? So and it's going to draw, to your point, Michael, the media attention, and it won't. I don't think for someone like that, it's not necessarily over. You see guys, especially in the top 50, 100 class, decommit all the time. So just because you obviously get somebody, that doesn't mean the war, you won that battle. That doesn't mean the war is over necessarily. Okay. But anything else we want to talk about football specifically? We're just kind of running through some things here, making.
I just came out to my dad. I was like, talked about him. Just going by what do you think is the bigger matchup? He was agreeing that he thinks the Clemson matchup, but I was just like, perception nationally. Do you think just looking at that? Do you think the Clemson or Tennessee matchup is a bigger game, just from perception nationally? I think
nationally, go ahead.
Tennessee for sure.
Tennessee, because that's a barometer test, the ACC versus SEC, whether you want to admit it or not. Is the ACC quote unquote back? Are they still an inferior conference? All those typical national narratives that you hear out there. And it's great that State is at the forefront of that. In years past,
why not us?
There you go. There you go. If you follow some of the talking heads, like Greg McElroy had 4 ACC teams in his top 25, but none of them in the top 12. Mm-hmm. I think he had Miami rated the highest, and then Florida State, then Clemson, then State. He had State coming in at 21. I think that's low for State. I think this is, but again, that's just the way State is with the national media. I think it's gotten better over the last couple of years, but we still haven't broken through. And so until that happens, I don't think you're going to get some of that respect like a North Carolina does. And I hate to, live rent free in Carolina fans' heads, but I mean, facts are facts. They've had decent years, but to put them in the top 10, I think that's just absurd. They haven't even come close to living up to that billing, or top 15s that you've seen Carolina in the last 4 to 5 years. And I get it, they've had great quarterback play, whether it was Trubisky, whether it was May. I get it, because quarterback
now they
play
don't even have, they don't even know who's going to be QB. I saw that today too on that. They're sending both QBs to ACC kickoff.
It's oddly quiet.
I didn't even see that. That's insane.
That is insane. Bad. That's poor.
I think Duke is doing it too. I don't know who the other QB is though.
That's horrible. That's a horrible look for UNC. That's like, we have no idea what we're doing to me.
I think
if you're not sure about that,
sending out, I'm trying to think who they sent out a few years ago. I mean,
and I get it. I think you kind of have to have your quote unquote quarterback go to the ACC media day, because by default they are the face of your franchise or your school. But
Duke's sending 2 QBs too.
It feels, I get like, it'd be like us sitting Brandon Mitchell or Pete Thomas to the thing. It feels like it's what it feels like to me. It's like, when we're sitting 2 quarterbacks, the only reason you do that is when you truly don't know.
What is that old
Yeah.
that old saying? When you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. Right.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
I don't know.
It's,
Good luck with that. And I'm sure
Um,
someone will end up playing better or worse, and someone will get that job. And and they probably, I mean, the way even if you follow it
Oh.
just from afar, you're. Oh wait, you got something?
Cal sending 2 quarterbacks also. What is this? I've never seen this before.
Who's sending two?
Cal.
Cal.
Well, okay. So Duke
Have they
got a
changed
new
the number
coach.
of guys
They
you can
lost
send to
their-
that? Hold on,
they
hold on.
lost
SMU.
their best players.
SMU sending 2 QBs too. What the heck?
What? All right, this is
Why?
welcome to your
It's
new
SMU.
Actually, it's interesting because they're supposed to be good, relatively
Welcome
speaking.
to the new
Yeah,
SEC.
Preston Stone is like the guy for SMU.
Interesting.
No, that's
So
great.
has that number changed? Normally you take 3 players or 2 players.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks
Two
like
players
they
or 3?
announced who status today. Did you see that?
So I'm
They
guessing
announced
Grayson McCall. Is it KC? Like
No.
maybe KC? No.
Actually, so Jordan Waters is one of them.
Okay. All right.
And
So who's the defensive guy? Obviously, you have 2 defense or offensive. So who's the defense? I mean,
Devin.
I don't know if I had to guess defensively. Devin. Yeah, I was going to say probably
Yeah.
Devin
let
Van.
me look it up real quick.
We're sending
Yeah.
3, anywhere between 3 to 5. That looks like most.
Some teams are sending 5 people.
Yeah,
Damn.
UNC sending 5.
What the?
They have no idea.
Like I
dude.
just said, welcome to your new ACC because we've never seen more than 3. For a long time, it was just 2.
all 11. We should send all 11.
You send all your captains.
Yeah.
Hey, we
So
should send our
Van,
second string
McCall,
long
and
snapper.
Waters. Van, McCall, and Waters are our
That
reps.
joke
And
just
that makes
didn't land.
sense.
That
to
joke
me
did not land.
communicates
I
what
didn't
we're
hear
doing.
it.
Oh, I said we should send our second team long snapper.
What if we just sent
Who's
the starting 5
I
offensive
don't even know
linemen,
that's the
and
point.
they just walk in front of Doran the whole time? That'd be hilarious.
Yeah,
That'll be good.
The
interesting.
media
All right,
vote
so
right here first.
so what are those? What are the? Normally they break it off into 2 days. Do we have States Day?
Yeah.
Do we have States Media Day? I've been
They
traveling and napping all day.
Let me see if I can tell you. NC State is the last day, Thursday, July 25th.
Yeah, I think they started doing them alphabetically. I think that
Yeah.
that changed.
Not this time around.
They used to do because last year, before they did it in divisions, but then
so
they stopped that.
the Monday, the 22nd is so next Monday. Commissioner Jim Phillips.
It starts next week.
Next week.
Where have I been?
Because camp start the week after that.
I know it's. I mean, it is almost August. It's crazy.
Well, I'll read this. So Florida State, Georgia Tech, SMU. Okay. Day 2 is Cal, Pitt, Stanford, Virginia, Virginia Tech. So 5.
So now it's a 3-day event.
Okay, no, it's 4 days.
4 days.
Wednesday, the 24th, Boston College, Duke, Louisville, Miami, Wake Forest. And then the last day, Thursday, Clemson, UNC, NC State, Syracuse. It's a lot of teams.
It's random.
Yeah.
So no out of order shade is just random. They put Florida State up in front because they're the champs.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Is Miami the same day as Florida State? Was
Miami's it's the Wednesday, so they get Boston College, Duke, Louisville, and Wake Forest.
Mm-hmm.
So I like our pairing on our days.
So we only have 4 teams the day we do ours.
We have, that's right. We have 4. So Florida State, Georgia Tech, SMU, they get paired with Jim Phillips, and then we get Clemson, UNC, and Syracuse.
So one day has 5 teams.
2 days have 5 teams.
2 teams have 5 teams. Okay,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
So again, Tuesday, Cal, Pitt, Stanford, Virginia, Virginia Tech. Wednesday, Boston College, Duke, Louisville, Miami.
Bro,
Wake.
nobody's gonna care about that day.
No.
I mean, I know Virginia
Cal,
Tech's got a
Pitt, Stanford,
storyline.
Virginia. Now, honestly, it's going to be the most interesting out of that whole group is Virginia Tech.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
hear you sorry. They
No,
got
it's all
like
good. It's all good.
a lure a little bit. So
Yeah, no, you're
let
good.
me ask this: do you think Drones is the real deal?
I think he's pretty good.
He
Is
was
he a
okay
Heisman
against
dark
us.
horse? You think? Because people are saying
No,
Mm,
no.
I don't
I
know
agree.
about
I'm
that.
like,
His throw mechanics are whack.
yeah, I don't know about Drones.
Yeah, his legs, I think, are his biggest asset.
he is
Mhm.
exciting to watch somewhat.
He was from
but-
Baylor, right?
Yeah. Oh.
And then I'm looking at this.
I mean, he's a
Wednesday.
good player.
I
Don't
think
get me wrong. He's a
Miami's
good player.
gonna
I
get-
just don't think he's that good. I
Yeah,
don't think
Miami's
his
going
arms
to
is
be
good.
the talk on Wednesday. because they're going to
Of
have.
course they are, but
Cam
they
Ward.
like Leighton likes to say, they still have Mario Cristobal as their head coach.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah,
Right.
give him. He's good for one. What were you thinking? So
At least.
Hey guys, I got to bounce, so I'll see y'all later.
yeah, man. Yeah, they got Cam Ward, and I think that's gonna, because of the season he had with Washington State, I think that's gonna be an interesting storyline. But I'm not I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think they. A lot of people are predicting them first or second. I don't. When the actual ACC media votes, I think they'll be at best third. Because I remember last year, State was voted third, right? And
Yeah, I
it was
believe so.
kind of like, whoa, and it's like, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense. And then
Right.
Miami wasn't.
And we
really
finished
near.
we finished in third. I think clear. We
Yeah.
were clear by a game in third. Yeah, because you had
Mhm.
Florida State, Louisville, and then us, and then Clemson, I believe, was fourth.
No, I think Georgia Tech technically was.
Oh,
fourth.
you're right. You're
They
right.
got
It
the
was.
tiebreaker, yeah, which is gonna.
Yeah, which was
They
crazy.
could be
a dark horse team.
They have a tough schedule, though. I think they play Clemson, Florida State, and us. So that's rough. But I think they could be decent.
Yeah,
Again.
for sure.
Of course, one of their wins was at the expense of Mario Cristobal, where if he just took a knee, they would have been 4-4.
Yeah.
But,
I mentioned it last year when we were talking football. Georgia Tech was just one of those. They were truly a Jekyll and Hyde team. They lost every game that they were favored in, and won every game that they were not favored. It was just so bizarre. And then I
remember week 1, they blew a 20-point lead to Louisville.
Yep, I was getting ready to say that exact same thing.
Yeah,
and you were like, and I remember we were in New Jersey, coming home from the UConn game, and I was watching it at the hotel, and I was like, what is this?
No.
And then you saw the end of the game, he goes, oh, okay, now that's the Georgia Tech team we thought we were going to see this year. Really bizarre game. But all right, I think we're good on football. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot of football here in the next coming weeks. We're going to start doing our previews, and we're going to try to get some guests on to talk some football. We're lining up, I think, some good names that people will recognize if we're able to, finish some of this stuff up. And I'm excited to see who we can get on. But we'll do position groups probably, or not, in a minimum offense, defense, and it's going to be exciting times here, and it's going to get started here real quick. But have you been following any? I'm going to transition a little bit over to basketball. Have you been following anything about the summer league at all? Just kind of seeing what DJ Burns has done, and then some of the other guys. But go ahead if you want to talk about any of that. But same here. I've looked at from afar.
Yeah, I'm not a big NBA guy. I'll follow the state players, but
absolutely,
just not watching them. But yeah, DJ Burns
has gotten better each game.
I saw, he had 15 minutes off the bench in his last game, and I forget, it was an impressive stat line for 15 minutes.
Yeah, he had 7 points. Yeah, 7 points, couple of blocks, couple of assists. I think he had 5 or 6 rebounds.
Yeah,
he had a nice move. He had that patent baseline move where he just got the guy on his hip and spun him in easy 2.
I know.
He looks much more nimble.
It's so fun.
Drop the weight.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it definitely is. It's so fun watching him go against guys who have never defended him before.
Yeah.
Last year, in the ACC, you play a lot of teams twice, and he was
Carolina third time. But he was better the third time against Baycott, which was incredible.
Yeah. But the first time he goes up against somebody, it's they have no idea what to do. It's so funny. It's awesome to watch.
Yeah. He's like a pitcher or a hitter in baseball, and I love using baseball because you just don't have tape on him, right? You don't know what he's going to do against you. You've not really seen him in person. You can study analytics and film and trends, but until you're actually up there in the moment, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Did you see the?
Go
ahead.
Joyner and DJ Horn.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting ready to say. Yeah. I'm sure. I know they didn't play together as teammates at State, but I'm sure there was some little fun yapping going on with that matchup. I couldn't tell you how either one of them did in that game. Like I said, I've been traveling. By the way, traveling, I want to share that story real quick. And again, like I said, this is kind of just a hodgepodge story.
Yeah.
We went up to Detroit for the George Strait concert, and I typically decked in state gear or red and white or something like that. And I had a really cool shirt that I wanted to wear, not state related, but it was red and white. And my wife was like, "No, why don't you wear this shirt?" And I'm like, "Okay, fine. It's not that big of a deal." Ironically, she wore red and white to the concert, but we'll talk about that. And so we're sitting there, and then three rows behind us, I hear "Go Pack" or "Go Wolfpack" or something like that. I was like, "Yeah, all right, cool." And then I was like, yeah. But then I was like, how do they know I'm a State fan? Because I'm not wearing any State gear.
Yeah.
And then his name is Camden, and it was really funny that he goes, "Oh, if you know, you know," and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, the leg," it didn't even dawn on me, and
You're very recognizable.
yeah, it was just hilarious. And then I was like, "Come on, we got to get a picture then, because this is so cool." Like, I'm in Detroit of all places, and
that is crazy.
1,000+ miles away from Raleigh. They actually
Mhm.
drove to the concert, which is incredible. They probably got home
From
faster
where?
than I did. I think he's in the Raleigh area, because I know he's got season tickets for
dang.
state football. Because we're like, hey, we have to get together for a tailgate, and so
Wow.
shout out to Camden Hogg and his wife Michaela. And just really, really cool meeting them. And I bought him a beer. I was like, "Man, this is cool, man. You made my night. I'm here to see George Strait, but you just made my night." So
Yeah, right.
it's kind of funny, but yeah, good people, and I'm looking forward to catching up with them during football season. Some late breaking baseball news. We can officially announce that Garrett Payne has transferred to Tulane. That's been announced. So we wish Garrett all the luck out down in Nolens. I might have to go see him play just so I can go to Bourbon Street. And no, we're definitely friends with the Paynes, and just wishing Garrett all the luck. I know he's still working his way back from his arm injury, and he's been throwing pretty well up in the Cape, and I'm sure he'll go do great things with Tulane, which is a good ball club. I mean, heck, we definitely be rooting for them when they play ECU, right? So maybe if that ECU series is down in Greenville, I might go try to catch him, and then maybe go swing over to Raleigh if it's a home series. So definitely would love to go check him out, and so we're rooting for him. And I think I guess in the last 10 minutes or so, or 15 minutes, we'll unless you have something else to talk about, I kind of want to address that your tweet that you had. Like I said, this was
Carson mentioned.
Please jump in the chat.
Men's soccer schedule dropped a few days ago, so that's I think the first game is High Point, August 21st or 22nd.
Yeah, they get ready. They're going next week. Same with the women. Yeah.
So new coach for NC State men's. I don't think we've been to the NCAA tournament since 2019. So
it's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while. Yeah. We'll see. Obviously we're gonna need to give the new coach some time to get his roster. But that's the beauty of the transfer portal. You can transfer mate
any sport.
Pretty quickly. And then Rusty, we'll address your question here in the last 5 minutes. So I just want to talk about this tweet, because I think this is kind of a cool tweet that you dropped a few weeks ago, actually over a month ago.
That was right after we made the super regionals.
Gotcha. Good context. He says, "These are my cross sports equivalents in football, basketball, and baseball: bowl game, NCAA tournament, regional, 9-win season, Sweet 16, hosting a regional, making a regional final, 10-win season, New York 6 bowl. I would like that. Elite 8, super regional, and then CFP, Final 4, CWS." I think those are spot on. So you're just comparing what a bowl game equals for both basketball and for baseball. So a bowl game would equal an NCAA tournament, and then a regional, and then a 9-win season, would be a Sweet 16.
Because that's like, if you're a 9-win team, you're probably a top 25 team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Football's hard. Football's hard,
Football-
and that was the one most people disagreed with because like making
Yeah.
a bowl game is so easy, especially with
Yeah.
4 non-conference games. If you have 4 cupcakes, like then you just need to go 2-6 in the ACC,
Yeah.
and you make a bowl game. So
Yeah.
it's not exactly.
Yeah. It's not an apples to apples
It
comparison.
should be kind of a tier lower than making the NCAA tournament or the or a regional.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with this statement. The only thing you can potentially make a case for, but you kind of have to delineate at some point, is the 9-win, 10-win, which is a Sweet 16 in an Elite 8. But I think based on your criteria here, I would say so, because the way a 10-win season could equal CFP, right? If you're a conference winner this year. Again, it's not apples to apples, but it's probably as close as you're going to get. With a comparison. Go ahead.
And that does make it, with a 12-team football playoff, it does make it a little different. Like, if you're thinking when it was a 4-team playoff, that was kind of more equivalent. But
it will change, and that's going to be the interesting part when we see the whole CFP play out this year. And you're gonna, I think, to kind of use a football analogy, all you're doing is just moving the goalposts on the last, whether it's the 4-5 person that you're arguing. Now it's going to be the 9-10 argument, because the 11-12 is going to be probably anywhere from 10 to 12 is going to be your group of 5 representative, how they shake out. Most likely the 11 to 12 range, right? That's going to be your, your mid, what is that? The Valley Conference. What is that conference
Missouri
called?
Valley Conference.
Missouri Valley. That's going to be like your 12th seed, right? They're like the 16th seed in college basketball.
But I forget. I'd have to look it up. Because the highest rated G5 conference champ gets the automatic invite. But I don't know. Does that make them the 5 seed, or do they get reseeded?
I don't think so. I don't think it's a top 5.
It's just conference champion. Shocked. You're gonna get a bid, and then they just seed them wherever based on that.
Yeah. I mean,
that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that would make sense. Now that doesn't mean the NCAA is or excuse me, the CFP is going to do that. We've seen their shenanigans in the past, but I would be ticked if I was a power conference, like I'm going to say Ohio State, just for instance, that they get the 5. They don't win. They don't win the Big Ten, but they're going to get an automatic bid.
They go 11-1, lose to Michigan,
and they get an 8 seed because they weren't a conference champion. And then Tulane, for instance, we'll just stick with Tulane since they're a group of 5, gets that automatic bid for 5. I would be shocked.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Okay, cool. You got something to...
The 4 highest ranked conference champions will be seeded 1 through 4 and receive a first round bye. So that's pretty much always going to be your Power 4 teams, because you're not going to have I won't say.
I mean, you could,
because it could.
Boy, that would be some controversy.
Well, it would probably be a scenario where like you'd have like a 12-0 G5 team, and then like a 9-13,
13-0 because of the conference championship.
And then like a 10-3 team.
Because of everyone's kind of reconferenced. Like, who could you see that would be a case? I mean maybe Boise, because I don't think they're in a power conference yet, right?
It would be like
maybe a Boise just because of their history.
Like a
Liberty. Liberty maybe, but they don't play anybody. I mean, they might get 1 or 2 ACC games like that. Like the one year that we played them, they had 3 ACC games. But I don't.
Probably 9 out of 10 years, your top 4 seeds are going to be ACC, SEC, Big Ten
in some sort of order. So speaking of that, do we want to talk for maybe 2 or 3 minutes about all the craziness, all the rumors out there, or do we just not even want to add, credence to the crazy rumors? I mean, it's
more minutes. And right now it's all lawsuits between ACC is suing both Florida State and Clemson. Clemson's suing the ACC. Florida State's suing the ACC.
Now there was a breakthrough on that though, on Clemson. Was it Clemson that was told that case was? I can't remember which one, and I apologize, but one of them did have a ruling this week that's because I think one filed in South Carolina and one filed in North Carolina, and I believe it was the Clemson case, and the ACC won, so jurisdiction will remain in North Carolina if I remember correctly. I think that was the case. I don't think it was the Florida State one, but So the rumors are Florida State, Clemson to the Big 12. At best, it's a lateral, but more than likely that's a decrease.
After they have to pay their way out of the ACC, like if they can pay their way out of the ACC to go to the Big 10 or SEC, that jump in revenue is so much more. It kind of makes it worth it. But Big 12 does not make it worth it. So
here's my thing. And do you make your and here's the argument, we talked with Joe Giglio. Is it because the money's not that much different, especially if what they're saying, they're trying to jump to 20, that payout becomes even less, right? And and of course the ACC has been talking about a pay for play model where you get paid more based on your performance and these revenue sports to kind of try to close the gap on some of that.
That's in place. I think
it did pass. Yeah, I think some form or fashion of it is into effect. But like, is your path easier in the ACC to a CFP performance or appearance, or is it easier in the Big 12? I don't think it's easier necessarily. If anything, it's the same. There's a couple good teams in the Big 12. You have Oklahoma State that's usually pretty good.
Utah's the favorite, I think, this year.
Yeah, Utah. Yeah,
but that's because they have like Cam Rising, who's like a 7th-year QB. I don't think Utah's kind of similar to State, where they're always pretty good. At least 9 wins.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not gonna run the Big 12 every year in and year out like a Clemson or Florida State did for the ACC.
Yeah, I mean Kansas has lifted their profile a little bit. I don't, they're not knocking down doors, but I think they've become more respectable.
But again, Kansas is a basketball school. They're never going to be consistently great at football.
No. Oklahoma State's the one that screams. Houston has some potential there, but they're kind of
they're terrible right
they
now.
moved up from the group of 5, and they're gone. They got a new head coach now. You have UCF and Cincinnati. They're okay football schools, but they don't scream anything. Is it Baylor? Baylor's had some moments.
Baylor.
So I don't know.
Baylor's
Maybe. Yeah, but so maybe your path to the CFP is easier in the Big 12 than it is the ACC. I think.
Yeah, at best though, it's like you said, a lateral move, and the amount of money it would take to get out of the ACC.
Yeah,
and the amount of money you would get in return from the Big 12 is probably it just doesn't. The math doesn't work out. I don't think.
Yeah, as the young kids say, the math don't math. So I don't know. I honestly and I get the dollars. The dollars are what drive this whole thing. But to me, championships drive money. Like if you win like you're going to make more money. When you make the CFP, you make more money. And yes, it's not the TV money that's guaranteed, right? Because unless you make these games, you're not going to see that money. And so therein lies the rub. But I'm definitely curious to see how it plays out. Every year we have this conversation this summer. I think it's just a great time to have the conversation because in the middle of the season you're talking ball, and every summer it's like, okay, we're gonna talk about conference realignment now because there's nothing else to talk about.
And it's every August, like mid-August,
right?
You have to give your notice. Yeah,
your notice. That's actually the better way to say it. Yeah, you have to give your 2-week notice.
Yeah, basically. Like nobody could leave the ACC before this football season. Like you would have to give your notice by this August for next year.
Yes, you have to give a minimum 1 year. I know Texas and Oklahoma gave a couple, but then they ended up getting an extra year out. So, but again, it's how much you're willing to pay to move on. And so we'll see if anything happens in the next couple of weeks. I don't know when that deadline is. Probably around 1 August, I would assume. And we'll go from there. But take the last 5 or so minutes. Russ here, our guy Russ is a very loyal listener to us, and he wanted to kind of know Greg,
Yeah.
you went to so many Pack Athletic games in 23-24. What was your favorite or most exciting event? It's funny. I think I talked a little bit about it maybe on the pod, on the recording that Leighton and I did, and I don't remember specifically if I mentioned it. So if we're talking regular season, I think it has to be the Carolina game where I got invited to be on the panel with the ACC huddle. That was just a surreal moment, and just, being in so many different households that I had people that I hadn't talked to in years reach out to me and, hey man, you were on the huddle. Yeah, I know, I was there.
Yeah, thanks for telling me.
It wasn't like, hey, I saw you in the crowd, one of those moments, which obviously happened quite a bit, but
Quite a lot.
yeah. But yeah, I think that was probably my most exciting event. Just from a personal experience, from a game experience, I think it has to be the ACC championship, just because it had been so many years since we won an ACC, championship. It was 1987, so it was going on almost 40 years since we'd won, anything in that regard. And just, the story of how we did it, going 5-5, and just being there with some of the family, witnessing it through their eyes, and just seeing the pure joy and excitement for everything that they've given to see and have their kid at that moment win a major conference championship. I think, to me, that was that was the coolest. Definitely enjoyed the College World Series. Just it's a vibe. If you haven't been there, you definitely got to go, especially if you're a baseball person. But yeah, I think the ACC men's tournament championship game, ironically, both against Carolina. And I think if you're a State fan, anytime you can beat Carolina or be involved in something that involves Carolina, I think that just kind of amps it up even more. Especially football. Football's king. We both think we both had the ability to have the same record. Did we have the same record going into that football game? I think
yes, both
we're both
teams
8-3.
8-3. Yep.
Yeah, so to be able to go 9-3 and then 8-4, that's just that's a moment. And so I think those would be my favorite. There's just so many memories, though. I mean, it's like trying to pick your favorite kid. If you've got them. I think secretly people do have them, but it's just a great season. And I said it in the pod that we did. I'm hoping 24-25 is the same. What about you, Michael? Do you have a personal favorite?
I didn't.
I know you didn't go to as many games. It's not as easy for you being in Florida, but I'm sure you had a favorite moment.
Yeah, for me, by far is the Final Four. I didn't get to go to the ACC championship game in DC, which I think that also would have been for me too.
It was epic
for that game because we won, obviously. But Final Four, even though we lost, it was just it's something else, especially being like just the area around it and just all the people. And a lot of people don't like the football stadium, and it was terrible to actually watch the game, but just the amount of State fans there, it was a lot of red. Crazy. And we had a unique view because we were the last row of one of the sections on the lower level. So, and because of the football stadium, it's very flat. Yeah. So it's not like Carter Finley where it's kind of more vertical.
It's more of a gradual slope.
Yeah. And I don't know. It was there's just something about like, okay, it's like this is the biggest stage you can get to pretty much in college basketball, and
it's the pinnacle.
Yeah. It was very, very cool.
Yeah.
I almost didn't go. What?
I know you didn't. It was to me, that was part of the fun too, was just doing all the logistics of us trying to get together. And like we had you, Leighton, Ryan Williams, and then gosh dang it, I can't remember Ryan's buddy's name. Dylan, thank you. You're 100%. It is Dylan. And so myself, and we were just 5 dudes. What 6 dudes? Sorry, Oh, and my son too. That's why it was 6. It was 6. Can't forget my son, but from our standpoint. So we're just. I think we got into we rented a vehicle and just went and did it. It was just a guy's trip, and it was fun. It was like being in college, if that's what college felt like.
I know.
like going on a spring
And
break
the fact that it was in Phoenix, and then we got to go on that hike the following day.
Yeah, we went up to Sonona. Yeah, and,
it wasn't like Indianapolis or something.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Right.
Cool.
It wasn't, some just like, oh gosh, we're Minneapolis or Indianapolis or, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some cool venues for the Final Four. I think Phoenix was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And maybe we should do that sometime. Is rank potential Final Four venues or something. I know it's going to be in Dallas in a couple years in AT&T Stadium. And I can't even imagine going to see the Final Four in that place. That would be insane.
Next year,
I think
San Antonio.
Yeah, San Antonio.
Which I don't know what the venue is for that.
They play that in the Alamo Dome.
That's right.
Yeah, because it's
Who plays there?
football. No one. Well, University of Texas San Antonio plays their football games there. That's really because the Spurs used to play there, and now they play in a more of a basketball arena. And I know like the Saints have played there for Katrina. Yeah, but yeah, that's a pretty good sized venue. But all right, well, like I said, it was kind of a hodgepodge show today. We'll probably be better next week when Leighton's back. And again, we throw out our thoughts and prayers with Leighton and Ken's as they're dealing with some personal issues, and we definitely miss them. And this week we got great episodes coming out. We had the privilege of talking to Casey Morsell, and he'll definitely be talking about that Final Four run and the fun that he had his last ride with State, and he'll tell you what he's up to now. And I think it's a really fun interview, not like your typical interview. We just kind of had a conversation, and that's kind of what we enjoy doing when we talk to folks. We don't normally have scripted. I mean, we have a couple scripted things we'll talk about, but we just kind of like to go with the flow and have a real conversation with folks. But I think that interview will show that. But so. All right. Well, one more show down before we get into football, and we're excited for it. And make sure you're following us on X and TikTok and YouTube, and make sure you have these bells and notifications up. I believe that Casey interview will be out tomorrow and Thursday. If I misspoke, I apologize, Leighton. I'll get fined in the kangaroo court if that's the case. But we appreciate everyone, and as always, Michael, take us out.
Go back.
Go Pack.